Well, folks, here we are again for the weekly forecast. Of course, the big news was this massive storm system that moved across the central United States really slowed down and kept the precipitation around our region a little bit longer than last week's models were projecting. But indeed, it did hit the precipitation fairly well in terms of the quantity. We've seen an area of thunderstorm activity develop from south central Dundee County all the way up into northeastern Holt County, where within this line, upwards of 3+ inches of moisture were received, and total storm accumulations were approaching the 5-inch level across some areas of eastern Loop County. Then we also seen the significant snow accumulations across the northern Panhandle and western Sandhills. So the very valuable moisture did show us a reduction in the drought monitor from D4 conditions to D3 conditions. That's still extremely bad, but it is an improvement. It is showing that we are starting to see some benefits of this moisture. We're going to need to see many more of these events before we start to drop the level down to D2 conditions, but overall it does look like we're starting to see a little bit of improving conditions. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to see any very warm temperatures in order to promote corn planting. That looks like it's going to be about 10 days out in the future, but we do have to deal with another system moving in, and it does look like it may spread again some more snowfall across the state. So let's get immediately to the models and see when the bad news arrives. And for today, what we are looking at is a brief ridging that's going to take place in the Central Plains, and it should bring some fairly nice conditions. We'll be looking at probably the mid-60s across extreme southern Nebraska, more in the lower 50s across northern Nebraska, and out where the deeper snow, we may only make it into the mid-40s. Now, as we go through the next 24 hours, we'll notice by tomorrow we have a system rapidly moving across the northern plains, and we may see a little bit of cooling across northern Nebraska and possibly some scattered light precipitation, nothing major in terms of accumulation, dry toward the south. And as we get into Monday, this system rapidly moves toward the Great Lakes, and we see this big low starting to develop across the western United States, and we'll start to see temperatures slightly increase in advance of these, and precipitation possibly breaking out as we get late Sunday into Monday across the Panhandle, and more likely to occur as we get into Tuesday. As the system approaches, we should see some upslope flow and the potential for snow breaking out across the northwestern portion of the Panhandle, and the real activity starts to take place as we get into Wednesday. It's going to draw a lot of cold air in. This moisture is going to get wrapped around, and we could see some significant accumulations across the northwestern part of the state, and that cold air will start to funnel its way eastward as we get through the day Wednesday, and by the time we get to Thursday, the system will move its way to the Great Lakes, and we could see some wraparound snow with this system and some accumulating moisture across eastern Nebraska. By the time we get to Friday, this system starts to move out, and we start to see a ridge trying to build into the early part of the weekend. So in terms of the temperatures, we are looking for the warmest temperatures this weekend, and then as we move into early next week, we see some very cold conditions across the northwest with temperatures stuck into the low 30s to upper 20s with snowfall, and we'll see some of that moisture making its way eastward in terms of rain, and then we'll see a general change over to snow possibly Wednesday night into Thursday across eastern Nebraska. 8 to 14 day forecast keeps the cold temperatures in place. In terms of precipitation, we are looking for the above normal precipitation to move eastward. Notice this dry conditions moving in. That's a signal that warmth will move in here around the 20th to 24th of the month.